What's goody? It's your host Jay Rose as always, and you already know what we on is the BagTalk podcast. Yesterday was draft day, of course, and it was action packed, so let's get into it. To start off, I want to actually begin not talking about the draft. I want to talk about the Chris Paul trade, because right after I posted my Kristaps Porzingis video yesterday, Chris Paul gets traded to the Warriors for Jordan Poole, and my mind was blown. Honestly, I was really confused about that trade. I did not see that coming at all. Jordan Poole was a key contributor to that Warrior squad, and I thought, given his skill at his age, I thought Jordan Poole would have been a player that they kept around for a long time. I thought even when Steph was gone, Clay was gone, Draymond was gone, they'd still have Jordan Poole to build around, but that's not the direction they want to go. And I find it interesting only because I don't think Chris Paul is even as good as Jordan Poole is right now. So I'm not sure exactly how that move makes them better at all. They traded for an older Chris Paul who was worse, and even if it's from the win now perspective, I don't see how that's going to help you win now, but I'm not going to completely doubt the Warriors because I know they always have a plan. They'll bring players in like Otto Porter. They'll bring players in like Juan Toscano Anderson and make them look like real key contributors. So I'm sure they can make something shake with Chris Paul. Not only that, with them trading Jordan Poole, they also get some cap space back, and they definitely do need that. So maybe if Draymond Green takes a pay cut as well, they can sign some key free agents and make another run at the championship. But who knows? It's really early in their stages of building this roster for next season, so we'll see what they're up to. I've also heard rumors that they're looking to get Ben Simmons, so we'll see what's going on with that. But as it stands right now, it's a pretty weird trade from the Warriors. It is. If that's a standalone trade and they do nothing else, that's a really weird trade, and I don't think I like that. But I think Chris Paul, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, and Draymond Green would be a very interesting lineup to play around with. I'm not sure if that's a starting lineup or a lineup you go to very often, but I think that's a lineup that if you really need all those players on the court, that could do some damage. As for Jordan Poole on the Wizards, I expect Jordan Poole to average no less than 25 points. I think it would be very disappointing if he didn't average at least 25. I'm expecting 25 to 28. Nobody else is really on that roster. You can chuck up as many shots as you want. The only two people who are really on that team that are going to get a lot of shots are Jordan Poole and their draft pick, who was Jarris Walker. Right here, Jarris Walker. That's the player that's going to Washington. So those are the only two guys who I think are going to get any shots next season. So I'm definitely assuming that Jordan Poole is going to come out and he's going to do his thing. He's going to score the ball, take a lot of shots, just show off his offensive prowess. And that's really what I'm expecting from there. I don't know what to expect from Chris Paul at this stage in his career. I do find it hilarious that Chris Paul spent the majority of his career getting cooked by Steph, and he's going to end it being Steph's backup. I think that's crazy. The NBA works in some funny ways, but yeah, that was that trade. And now let's get into the draft stuff. Obviously, we know who went number 1, Victor Wembanyama, to the San Antonio Spurs. And, the atmosphere in the draft was really, it was hype. It was intense. It felt different from a lot of other drafts, especially when it started and Vic was making his walk up to the podium. It was like, yeah, I feel like the energy in here is just a lot different than it usually is. For some odd reason, a lot of these rookies, when they walked up to the podium, I felt like some of them could really do some damage. Others I didn't feel the same about. But players like Vic, Scoot, the Thompson twins, I just looked at them and I go, yeah, like they just have some kind of swagger about them that made the NBA draft feel a little more lively this time around. Speaking of which, the Portland Trailblazers do not trade their pick. They end up drafting Scoot because he falls to 3. Brandon Miller goes to 2 for the Charlotte Hornets, and I'm not the biggest fan of that pick. I feel like that might be a mistake. I think Scoot really was the second best player in this draft. I think he should have gone number 2. I don't think the Hornets are mad that they got Brandon Miller, but if I personally was running the Hornets, I would have picked Scoot at 2. But Scoot falls to 3. And now he's on the same team as Damian Lillard and Anthony Simons, which is what I did not want to happen. This is exactly what I did not want to happen. I wanted either Scoot not to be there or I wanted Dame not to be there. And I was very much leaning towards Dame not being there. But they've said they don't want to trade Dame. They've said they're not trading the pick, and they haven't. They drafted it. Obviously, Scoot still has that trade potential regardless of if he's drafted or not. But now that you have him on the team, you have Anthony Simons, you have Dame, you have Shaedon Sharpe, you have all these guards. It's very heavy down there. It's very guard heavy. There's going to be a lot of talent that's going to be on the bench this season. Whether it's Anthony Simons or Scoot or Shaedon, all of those players deserve to get PT, and one or two of them are not going to get as many minutes as they should because Dame is there. I really feel like Dame should not be on this team, especially because of the fact that the Trailblazers are not equipped to really help Dame do much right now. They're not. They don't have a ton of cap room. They don't have really a lot of ways to get older players without, like, older good players. They were looking at a Paul George. They don't have a way to get those players there without trading Simons or Scoot or both, because a lot of those trade picks were both of them, Simons and Scoot Henderson. I don't think they want to do that, but they also don't want to trade Dame, which puts them in a weird position. Like I said, this was the worst case scenario for the Portland Trailblazers. They're playing the fence right now. They want to keep their franchise player, but they are not going to win any games. So I think that's doing a disservice not only to the fans, but to Dame himself. I think Dame deserves a lot better than to be playing with a lot of young players who are not solidified, because this team's not going to win this season. They're not. This team's construction is really weird. I don't even know what it's going to look like going into next season, because guess what? I don't want Scoot coming off the bench. I don't want Simons coming off the bench. And Dame can't come off the bench. So somebody's minutes are getting cut. I feel like most likely it's going to be Simons, which sucks because Anthony Simons is a great player. He can average like 25 and 5. I don't think he should be coming off the bench. But Scoot also shouldn't come off the bench either. I feel like I want him starting. I want him in the action. I want him to play. You want your number 3 pick to play. And I don't really like the fact that they're going to have to make those decisions. I don't think any of those 3 guys deserve to be on the bench. I think the Portland Trailblazers are in a weird spot. They put themselves in a weird spot. Next up, the Rockets definitely had a great draft. I give the Rockets an A+ for their draft, honestly. If we go and look at who they got Ausar Thompson. No. Ausar Thompson went to the Pistons. They got Amen Thompson, and they also got Cam Whitmore, who dropped. He was supposed to be a top 10 pick. He dropped down to 20. So that now gives the Rockets a lineup of Amen Thompson, who's like 6'8". They have Jalen Green, who's like 6'5", 6'6". They're going to have Whitmore, who's like 6'7", 6'8". They're going to have Jabari Smith Jr. and Alfred Sengun, who are both like 6'11", 7 foot tall. So they're going to have a huge lineup. And I like that going forward. If you play 2K, My League, and you sim a couple seasons, this is what the Rockets always end up looking like. A bunch of tall guys, a bunch of lanky guys. And yeah, I think that's a real good looking future there for the Rockets. They definitely turn this rebuild into something nice. I doubt they're going to go after James Harden at this point. I personally wouldn't do it. I want Amen Thompson and I want Jalen Green to get their touches, and I want them to be our main guards going forward. I want to pick a side and just go. I think that James Harden era is over. I don't really want him back. If I'm the Rockets, I don't want him back, which is, I don't think that's unreasonable. This is not the same James Harden who was doing all the step backs and averaging 36 points a game. This is not that same guy. This is 22 points, 10 assists James Harden, who is a good player, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's enough for me to want to stunt the growth of some of my younger guards in order to bring him back and for us to not really do much. They're not going to go to the playoffs with that roster, I don't believe. So I'm okay off of that. I am. I do give the Rockets an A+ for this draft. I do. Another team that I give an A for this draft is my team, the Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks came into this with the 10th pick. They traded the 10th pick for the 12th pick and also got Davis Bertans' contract off the books, so we have a little bit more cap room. They drafted Derek Lively, who is a center. We definitely need the rim protection. Later in the draft, they end up trading for Richaun Holmes, so we have 2 centers now. We didn't have any big men in rim protection before that. Now we have 2 guys who can do that, and they also traded for another player in Oliver Maxence Prosper, who I admittedly don't know much about. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm a college expert. I'm not. But I went and watched some of his highlights. I looked at his stats, and he's not a bad player. And I like that draft. I like the fact that we got 2 players in the first round. We got the rim protection, and we have another roster spot. We have room and money for another roster spot to get a decent player. So I definitely give the Dallas Mavericks an A for this draft, 100%. Some of the most well-known players coming out of high school, like Amari Bailey, fell to the second round. Imani Bates fell to the second round. Amari Bailey is going to Charlotte, and Imani Bates is going to Cleveland. And you know what? Not for nothing, I don't think that's a great fit, but I think he can slide into that 3 and provide some scoring if he ends up panning out to be a decent scorer at this level. Just to recap, out of the top 10, we got Victor Wembanyama going 1, obviously, Brandon Miller 2, Scoot Henderson 3. The Thompson twins go back-to-back, so Amen Thompson 4 to the Rockets. Number 5 to the Pistons, Asor Thompson. Number 6 to the Magic was definitely a surprise to me. They picked up Anthony Black. I was like, and this was around the area where I was like, wow, Cam Whitmore is really falling. We got Bilal Coulibaly, who that was out of left field for me. I had no idea he was going to go this high. He went number 7. Jarris Walker, number 8 to the Washington Wizards, like I said earlier. Taylor Hendricks, number 9 to the Utah Jazz, who I think they're also in a weird spot. I think they need to do some more trading and completely just blow this roster up so they can start the rebuild. I don't think you want to build around Lauri Markkanen, and right now he's at the best he's been his whole career, like hands down. So I think trading him for some draft talent, maybe another young guy, could be a nice thing to do because he's a decent piece, and I know there's going to be a team that wants him. And then at 10, the OKC Thunder draft Cason Wallace, so that rounds out the top 10. And like I said, I feel like the draft had a nice energy to it this year. I feel like a lot of these players can end up doing some damage. I like the Thompson twins. I like Wemby, obviously. I like Scoot. I like Derek Lively. And I definitely think Cam Whitmore is going to be a sleeper pick. I think him falling down to 20 is crazy. I think he should have been a top 10 for sure. So him falling down to 20, I think a lot of teams are going to be punching themselves for not drafting him higher. But that was the draft. And that's the video. I hope y'all enjoyed. I'll catch y'all in the next one.